Hi there. Well, it's the first day of August, and I'm here to talk about Buyer Agency Commission. As most of you have heard, as of August 17th, the Buyer Agency Cooperative Commission is no longer going to be displayed on the MLS, on Zillow, on Realtor.com, on any site. Up until that change, if you were looking at a listing online and you were working with a buyer agent, or if your buyer agent was looking at a listing online, they could immediately determine if the listing offered a buyer agency cooperative commission. The percentage was typically posted right on the listing itself. However, due to a settlement between the National Association of Realtors and the Department of Justice, as of August 17th, that is going away. The idea is that sellers were forced to pay for a non-negotiable cooperative commission. Commissions have always been negotiable. Now it's going to be more apparent that the commissions are negotiable, because in order to find out if a listing is offering a buyer agent cooperative commission, which will no longer be called a commission, actually it's going to be called buyer agent compensation, the buyer or the buyer agent would have to call the listing agent and ask, is there buyer compensation, buyer agent compensation? Is the seller willing to participate in paying the buyer agent? The other change is, before a buyer agent can take a buyer into the very first house, they have to enter in a compensation agreement with that buyer, spelling out exactly how much the buyer agent is going to make and who is going to pay the buyer agent. For the past 25 years or so, a seller paid the commission for the listing broker, and out of that total commission, the listing broker paid a cooperative commission to a buyer agent. Now, there will be 3 different sources of potential income for the buyer agent representing a buyer in a transaction. The seller directly to the buyer via the contract, or the listing broker to the buyer agent, or the buyer themselves. Some agents have said, well, I'm not going to show properties that don't offer an adequate compensation arrangement for a buyer agent. I'm not sure how that's going to work. For the past probably several years, buyers have found the properties that they want to buy, and then they send those properties over to the buyer agent and say, hey, get me an appointment for this particular property, and then help me, keep me safe, knowing that I need to understand everything that I need to know about this particular property and do all my due diligence and make certain that everything checks out so that it's a safe place for me to buy and it's a good value. And I think if a buyer picks out a house and they say, hey, really, I want this house, and the buyer agent calls up the listing broker and the listing broker says, put it into the offer, but we don't have any predetermined amount that we're going to compensate you, I don't really think that the buyer agent will not show the house. Listen, there's a lot of moving parts here. No one really knows exactly how this is going to play out over the next few months or few years. But what I would say is, when you're looking to buy or sell real estate, you can feel safe and confident with trusted advice and careful guidance. And at the McWilliams Group, we're here for you to provide just that. Reach out to me today if you have any questions about the changes, about how this is going to affect your real estate goals, or if you'd like an appointment to talk about listing your property. Thank you.